Here's the thing. When you're trying to develop leaders, you give them opportunities to grow. The problem is that I've found is that a lot of people, they think that they want to grow or they think that they want to become a leader, but then you make it available to them and then their inner push just isn't enough to get them to take that step. Or they perceive that they are already leaders. Like there's no leadership class in high school. There's no leadership class in college. And so people think, oh, I graduated from law school, top of my class. I'm a leader. No, you're not. Maybe if you're a sports leader, quarterback for a football team, cheer captain, whatever those things are, maybe you have some leadership skills. But the truth is leadership, you have to take time and be intentional, and you have to have energy to do it, and you have to prioritize it. Because if you don't do that, you're not going to have that leadership development, and you're not going to have the leadership skills when you need them most. And so I struggle with this sometimes because I try and give people the leadership classes, but you can lead a horse to water, you can't make them drink. And then they come to me in a time of crisis, and then I've got to go into my super dictator mode and say, here's what we're going to do. But it's because we haven't laid the foundation ahead of time. So I call leader someone who has to inspire others to act in a way that they would not normally act. So, because if someone's going to do it normally, they don't need a leader. But if you want to help them move in a direction that is in line with, say, what a group dynamic should be or what you want to accomplish in a company, an organization, or a team, if you want to get someone's performance to elevate and you want to get them to do something in a way that may be more positive for the outcome for the team, then that's leadership. That's pretty simple. Now, what is leadership though? It's a collection of skills in order to influence this result. So you've got to have things like, you've got to have some empathy. You've got to be able to have that charisma, maybe. You've got to have authenticity, right? You've got to be able to get inside other people's heads. You've got to be able to see what's important to them and help motivate them to be the best version of themselves. But the problem is sometimes they may not see where you're trying to take them and they may think they're already there. Or they want to get someplace, but they don't want to follow your advice on how to get there. You look at this with great athletes. Great athletes, they go back to the basics all the time. Larry Bird would shoot free throws after games. Tiger Woods is always breaking his stroke down and rebuilding it, right? They're always focusing on the fundamentals and the basics. But the problem with us is we think, okay, I don't have to work on this anymore. I'm a leader, so I don't have to work on it every day. I've got three leadership coaches for different dynamics or different parts of leadership. I've got somebody who can help people psychologically. I've got somebody who can help me with presenting my message. And I've got somebody else who integrates all that in the structure of a company. Very, very different skills. And so I'm very intentional about how I develop leadership. And honestly, I feel like every time I learn something new about leadership, I feel like I'm doing worse. It's kind of like a downhill fight sometimes because it's like, I'm losing it. You learn something new, they should get you to the next level. Well, like Tiger Woods, he tears a swing down, builds it back up again. There's going to be a time before he integrates that skill where he can be a great leader. But I think one of the big problems with our society is we don't really think that leadership can be learned. You think you are or not a leader, it's binary. And then many times people who think they are leaders really are not leaders and they have no desire to develop that skill. So that's a big frustration for me as I try and move forward and maybe move to a level where I'm not in the day-to-day operation of my businesses, finding people who want to run them daily and inspiring them to become the best version of themselves as far as leadership goes. That's the biggest challenge. I think every company would agree growing leaders is probably their biggest challenge. One of my leadership coaches said this the other day. He said that companies grow faster than people do. And I totally agree with that. A company can grow in an exponential fashion, really, while we're limited by our own biology and our mental ability to grow and our spiritual ability to grow. So the question is, do you go out and hire leaders or do you grow them from within? I would always prefer to grow people from within. But the truth is that if I don't have the people who have the push from within to get to that level, I have to go outside. If you don't have a desire, like let's say somebody says, okay, I want to be a leader of a team of 10. That's the goal for their life. Like they've never thought bigger than that. You're not going to get that person to see themselves leading a team of 100. But I can go out and hire somebody who has a team of 100 already and say, hey, can you get to a team of 1,000? Maybe that's a better way to grow it. So would I always like to grow leaders from within? Absolutely. But I've found that it takes a long time to grow leaders from within. And sometimes it is easier to go out and hire leaders from outside. The problem with a leader from outside is you have to train them on your culture and you got to train them on the actual mechanics of your business. And that takes time too. So, it's a trade-off. I'm at a point now, and I think most businesses get to this point where I'm looking to bring in professional management, someone at the chief operations officer level, the chief financial officer level, people who've had real experience with larger companies. And we have over 200 employees. We're going to be probably 400 employees within a few years. That's bigger than I can handle. So I need someone who can actually help me do that. And with that experience, I discern with leaders between whether they actually can get results or not. We get tested every day. If you can't drive results, you're not a leader. If you can't inspire results, you're not a leader. And a lot of times people will, if they start making excuses, they couldn't get the results. That's not a leader. That's someone who's going to make excuses. A leader is somebody who looks at the situation and says, okay, this is what I've got, and I'm going to try and get the best result that I can in these circumstances, and pushes. And maybe you miss the mark, but you at least do better than you did last year, or at least do better than you did last month, and you start driving those changes. If I hear more than 3 excuses why a goal wasn't hit, that's not a leader. That's not a leader. I always say, the first reason why we miss our goals, I didn't do it. I couldn't lead the people to that level. That's on me. First answer, every single time, it's on me. Every problem in my business is really a manifestation of a problem that I have. I see it. I see it all day. I like to inspire my people to take that level of ownership of their departments, their teams, so they can try and bring people up as well. But every problem really can be manifested by a leader. Now, you have a global recession? Yeah, sure. But even then, I remember when we had a COVID, we had a massive downturn. We lost 60% of our business overnight. Overnight, we still got through. I said, we're going to do what we can do right now, and we're going to work with what we've got. I won't lay anybody off, and I didn't. Now, there were some people actually who stayed home and stopped working altogether. Yeah, I fired those people. But the truth was, and that's a tough decision because I know they're going through stuff, but the truth is we got to keep the ship above water. And I said, listen, we're committed to doing it. We're going to just do with what we got. I don't know how long COVID's going to last, but we're going to keep doing what we're going to do. And I was taking money out of my pocket to pay my people, but let's keep going forward and do with what we can do. And we actually had an okay year that year. When making hard decisions, my company has 7 core values. And I sat down with my senior team years ago. We listed out over 100 values. And then we started winnowing them down and pairing them and consolidating them and until we got down to 7 core values. The top 3 core values: service to my clients, service to my team, and service to the community. So every decision that I make is driven by one of those 3 core values. And the other ones are leadership, loyalty, faith, and accountability. But the most important core value that drives all of the decisions is service to my clients. So the question I have to ask myself is, are my clients being better served by making this decision? And then if the answer to that is yes, then there's a second question is the team being better served by me making this decision? So sometimes I got to make that tough call. I'm the guy who makes the call. I don't like doing it. You don't like firing people. But the truth is sometimes you have to do it and it's hard. And if you're a leader, you have a high level of empathy. That's how you get to be a leader. And that empathy, that keeps you up at night. Like, I'm not happy about some of the decisions I had to make, but to keep the business going forward, to keep us growing, I have to make those tough calls.
Hey, so if you like today's video, share, like, and subscribe.